Welcome to my review of Friday the 13th Part 3. I'm Alberto, aka aDestroyer48. This review is for my brother Troy. This is for you, brother. I got you. So, yeah, this is a review for Friday the 13th Part 3. I wish I could do the whole review like this. um, Let me take this off. I'm gonna need this later to scare dogs outside. Alright, let's begin. Um, Friday the 13th, Part 3 also comes in Blu ray. I'm sorry, not Blu ray, comes out in 3D. Well, it also comes out in Blu ray. Just to bring that in before I begin. So let's begin. Friday the 13th Part 3 actually starts in the beginning and it starts off at Friday the 13th Part 2 with a scene that comes at the end, close to the end of Part 2 to be exact. You're gonna have a girl named Jenny, a young girl named Jenny. She's gonna be running through the woods uh, near uh, near Crystal Lake, near that camp, and she's running through the woods, and she gets to a shack. Now this shack belongs to, apparently to Jason Voorhees. That we're assuming that he made himself. It's not that small. It's not that big either. She gets into the shack and she looks outside the window and Jason's right behind her. Now, Jason has like a sack of potatoes kind of sack on his head. Not without the potatoes. It's just a sack, and then it has one on that sack of potatoes. It has one eye that's cut like a circle so you can see with one eye. It does not look good. So when Jenny goes inside the shack, she locks it up after she saw Jason's right on her tail, right behind her. Now she goes back to the shack and she sees a shrine that Jason has dedicated to his mother. It has Jason's mother's head on the table. It's surrounded by candles. There's dead bodies beneath the table, um, new and old. From what I saw, there was three dead bodies. There's two fresh ones, and there's one that's all close to skeleton kind of deal. And there's also Jason's mom's sweater that's there. Now, Jason has a pickaxe and he's trying to cut through the door. Jenny comes up with a plan. She puts on um, Jason's mom's sweater on, and then she starts fixing her hair to be kind of short. And it looks like she's trying to look like Jason's mom. Now Jason finally breaks through the door. He gets in. He's gonna strike Jenny, and Jenny with a sweater with her hair kind of tucked in tells Jason, Jason, this is your mother talking to you. So she's gonna pretend she's Jason's mother, and it works because Jason is about to swing and he stops once she starts talking, and she's like, "You're doing a good job," and then Jason's gonna strike her again, and then Jenny says, "Mother's talking to you," and Jason stops again, and he's like kind of like this. He's kind of like seeing what's going on. He's kind of confused, but he does see a resemblance in Jenny thinks his mom just by mainly the sweater. And Jenny's pretending to be the mother and says, "Jason, you did a good job. And you're gonna have a reward for you and all that." And then Jenny tells Jason, "Bow down, Jason, bow down." So Jason does what she says and gets on one knee. And Jenny is gonna strike him down with her weapon. I believe it's a machete. A machete. Um, so she's gonna strike him down with a machete. Jason's vulnerable because he's on one knee, listening to what she says, thinking Jenny's his mom. And when she picks up the machete to strike down, she kind of like twists a little bit. And when she twists, her body moves to the side a little bit, and then Jason's able to see his mother's head is still there. So he's like thinking, "Hey, I'm being played here. That's not my mom. I see my mom's head right there, corpse head, deteriorating head. His mom's deteriorating head." So when he realizes that Janie swings in a downward motion to strike Jason, Jason knows he's getting played, so he picks up his pickaxe and blocks the blow. And as soon as that happens, Jason strikes Jenny's knee with a pickaxe, tearing through Jenny's pant and then going to the skin and wounding her. She's got a flesh wound now, a bad one. Um, and then now Jason's gonna get ready to give her the final blow, and he picks up his pickaxe and strikes it out. But excuse me. But at that time, Paul enters. Paul was a head counselor at in part two, and I think we assumed he was dead, but he's okay. He he saves Jenny and starts struggling with Jason, and they're like wrestling and grappling in the back. Um, and Jason gets the best of him. I guess he's stronger than Paul for some reason. And Jason takes Paul down. Then he's about to give Paul the final blow with his weapon, and he gives us the pickaxe. And while that's happening, he's on top of Paul because he dropped him. He's into the final blow. Jenny sees the opportunity. She gets the machete and she gets behind Jason while he's on top of Paul, and she strikes down on Jason, swinging the machete on Jason's back, which is gonna give him the final blow, cutting into Jason, and Jason goes down. Paul gets up and he's like, "Jenny, let's go," since he took down Jason. But she doesn't move, and then she takes off the mask of Jason, and it looks like Jenny is seeing Jason's hideous face while he's down, and so does Paul. And Paul's like, "Geez," and then they both walk off. Paul gets Jenny, and they limp off together. He gets her arm trying to help her. She's limping along, and they leave the shack, and they're gone. And from there, that starts the credit up. Now we're gonna start Friday the 13th Part 3. Shows the credits. Um, so that's the end of that scene. Now we're gonna get to this place where you see this guy named Harold. He's near some there's like clothes and blankets and clothes hangers and stuff. He walks there. There's a wooden stick that's holding up the clothes hanger. And he drops it, and then there's someone yelling from this place, and it's Edna. She has curlers, and I guess it's Harold's wife. She yells at him, Harold, um, Harold, you messing up the clothes and all that. I wash your clothes and all that. You're messing it up. She's scolding him, yelling at him, and he's like, yeah, yeah. And then he gets the that wooden stick and puts it back up, and that's that. Now Edna, after scolding Harold, getting after him, she goes back. She's like in a room, and she's sewing. And she's looking at the news, and the news is saying that there's been some dead bodies found at a camp, which is gonna be where Jenny and Paul were from. And Jenny and Paul were like one of the last survivors. Um, so she sees that, and she's like, "Oh my goodness!" And she's sewing along, and she thinks she sees someone outside. She even goes outside at one point, but she loses that person she saw. Now we got Harold. He's inside with a cash register, and like so to tell you where they're at, it's like a small grocery store, convenience store, and it looks like Harold and Edna are the owners of this place, and Edna's like in a back room or something where a house attached to the grocery store. Oh, anyways, Harold's now inside the grocery store, and he's near the cash register, and he there's like a fish bowl, and he's feeding some fish. It's funny because he gets a little bottle that the food for the fish, and he's like soup's on. He starts feeding the fish, and and then he starts putting some on his hand. He licks it, and then he starts after he licks it, eats some. He reads it, and it says it says day sun eggs or day fly eggs. He like he starts spitting it out, and then as soon as he does that, he sees that there's something in the food aisle of that store where the fruits and vegetables are. And he's like, hey, 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 and he goes running to that area, and there's like a rabbit there. He picks up the rabbit, and he goes, if Edna catches you in here, she's gonna make a she's gonna make a fur coat out of you. Picks up the rabbit, and he starts walking around the store. Um, so while he's carrying the rabbit, he still continues to go to the food aisle. He gets a bottle of a, um, a peanuts. He takes up the lid, he pours them in a hand. He eats some. He's eating. He's still carrying the rabbit. Then he sees and it's like, wait a minute, like this guy's getting food from the grocery. I mean, you're supposed to sell that, not freaking eat it. Then he sees a gallon of orange juice, drinks a little bit, puts it back, rolls. I feel sorry for the customers who are gonna buy that if they ever do. And then he sees a box and it has donuts, and he gets one of the donuts out of the box, starts eating it, and then he starts feeding it to the rabbit. Folks, that's not sanitary. No offense to y'all pet owners. Sometimes it just grosses me out because I think some people like kiss their dogs with the dog's tongue and stuff like that. I'm like, wow. No offense to you pet owners out there. I know a lot of y'all don't do that, but I was like, wow, this is not very sanitary, bro. So yeah, he takes a bite of donut, gives some of the rabbit, and it looks like somebody's creeping on Harold. Somebody's coming behind him, and it turns out it's not Jason. It's Edna. Edna gets him by the arm or something, or pushes his arm. She's like, "Didn't I feed you? And didn't I feed you enough at supper?" Then she says, I'm trying to help you. The doctor says you have to lose weight, but you keep sneaking food behind my back. And she takes Harold's a donut away. She puts it in a box, put it over there. And then she's like, you know what? I put that filthy animal away. She walks off, and then Harold, all mad, he goes back in that box, gets the same donut, takes another bite, looking at her like me, like, and like, okay. Uh, yeah, so Edna walks off. He's gonna do what she says. He's gonna walk back and he's gonna go to, I think, to the garage. He still has the bunny in his arm. He's gonna go put it away. But then he notices something suspicious. He's gonna put the rabbit in the cage, but he sees something suspicious, so he puts the rabbit in a wheelbarrow, and he goes to the that cage. It's like a rabbit cage. Kind of looks like the cages for chickens they put them in. He goes there and he sees like fur balls, and I think that's where some rabbits were supposed to be, but there's just fur balls left. And then when he opens the door to that cage, a snake lunges at him. And he's like, he gets back, scares him. So apparently that snake is eating the rabbits, but it's a small snake. I don't know how he could swallow the rabbits, or maybe the little fur balls were little rabbits. I don't know. But anyways, that snake killed the rabbits. And when he lunges at Harold, Harold gets scared and starts running. He goes running back to Edna, and Edna's standing up. And when he gets over there, he moves her away slightly, and he passes her. He gets not to hurt her, but he's scared. And then Edna says, "What happened? What happened? It's all that crap you've been eating, isn't it?" We see that Harold's made it to the toilet, and he's on the toilet doing his business. And I'm gonna bring up a point right now, but so he's in the toilet and he reaches for something behind some crates, and it turns out I'm like, oh, he's gonna reach for toilet paper. He's not reaching for toilet paper. It's like he gets a bottle of alcohol. It's like that Jack Daniels or whiskey. He takes a drink out of it, and he hears a noise. And this is the part he gets up and he doesn't wipe. Like, dude, you just went to the toilet doing your business. Go wipe yourself, bro. Don't just get up and pick up your pants. It's like, at least pretend to wipe to give me satisfaction that you're being sanitary. You're gonna just pick up your pants like with you guys know what I mean. Gross. Wipe, brother. Wipe, bro. Jeez, be sanitary. Don't just get up and pick up your after doing your business. Gross. You need a wipe. Anyways, before I get more mad and just keep talking about that, he gets up. He doesn't wipe, bros. He goes checks what's going on. He walks further down the room. He takes a look to the left and then to the right. He's near the door, and I think when he's near the edge of the door, he's like, that's when he turned. And then you got Jason. He has a meat cleaver, and he swings it down, cutting Harold, sticking Harold with that. It's a cleaver, and it sticks him right here in the sternum, and then I mean, with that striking blow with a cleaver that stuck to Harold's right here. It's like an instant death right there. And it's funny how Harold dies. He turns like this, like cleaver. Jason hits it with a cleaver right here, and he dies like that. Like, he turns. It's funny. Oh, I'm sorry. Kind of funny to me, but I don't mean to offend viewers. Are like, somebody died. So Harold dead. He gone. Um, then you got Edna. She's in. She's lost her clothespin. It's like a metal thing like this, very very skinny kind of piece of metal. for her sewing. And she's in that room where she's watching TV. And she's like, Harold? And then she walks where Harold was. And she's investigating. She's in that room. It's all dark and stuff. She doesn't find Harold. And she is near some. I can't describe it, Meg. I don't know. But it's like a door or it's a garage. It has like there's some kind of door. And it has like a square window kind of deal. And then it had like very small stripes or whatever. But I look closely, it turns out that's webs in that square thing. Oh, anyways, Edna's looking, she turns, whatever, and then she's near that thing, and then somebody sticks her hand through that window thing, and it doesn't have any glass. It's like there's no window there, like somebody broke it before. This person sticks her hand through it, gets Edna, and with the other hand, it comes around the door, whatever, and they get her by the mouth, and then they stick her with the clothespin in that window, to that window to the door, square window to the door. They stab her in the back and have her in the mouth like, ooh, like they stabbed her in the back of the head with that clothing needle and that sewing needle, and it instantly kills her. Of course, I mean it's a needle going to the back of your head all the way. And he did it with such power. He's strong. So Edna dead, she gone. So that's the end of that. So we're gonna go now to somewhere else, and there is a residential neighborhood, and I kind of don't like this part. It's a residential neighborhood in the daytime. There's kids playing, several kids, and then here comes a van. And they're going like 20 miles per hour, honking. Still, you don't do. I don't do that. I don't go that fast residential area, especially when there's kids playing. You can have an accident and hit something. Most kids could accidentally run in front of the van and die. So, anyways, luckily they passed this dangerous thing going so fast. They passed the kids, and good thing they don't run over anybody. Thank goodness. And they do honk at the kids, or at least they do that, but still it's dangerous. Anyways, the young people we see in this van are Chris, Andy, and Debbie. Now, I want to explain that some of these names could be Chris and Andy could be a guy or a girl, you know. But Andy is a guy, young guy. Uh, Chris is a young girl, and Debbie will say self-explanatory. She's a girl. They're in the front seat of the van. They're driving, and they're going to go pick up Vera, their friend Vera, which is a girl. Then get that out of the way. They park. Chris is driving, by the way. She parks the van. All three of them get out. And when they're getting out, they just get out of the van. They yell out, Shelly, come meet your date. And Shelly's like, all lazy, like, bring her to me. And they're walking down the street, across the street, to go get Vera. And they're talking. And it seems like Debbie and Andy, they're the couple, and they look like they're horn dogs. It's first evidence that they're horn dogs because they start kissing and all that, and then Chris says, you two, sex, you're getting boring. And then Andy says, well, at least, we're gonna have sex out there. At least we can have sex out there. And Chris is like, cool it, Andy. And he says, I didn't mean like that, referring to Chris. I guess they're trying to say, like, kind of like, well, it could be misunderstood that he's saying that right now Chris doesn't have anybody, so she'll be all lonely while these horn dogs. Um, Andy and Debbie are just gonna be having sex, and she has nobody. That's what I get from at this point. Well, anyways, they're walking down the street, and then somebody with a clear mask comes with a knife, stabs this individual stabs Andy in the back. Turns out it's a fake knife. Fake knife, thank goodness. And Andy confronts this person, which they ends up saying it's Shelly, and he still has that clear mask on. And when Andy got stabbed by Shelly with a fake knife, he gets Shelly Chevy. He gets Shelly and says, "Why you gotta be such an a-hole?" And then Shelly goes, "I'm not an a-hole. I'm an actor." And then Andy says, "Same thing." And they're walking down the street. Chris and Debbie had walked ahead to go get Vera. But Andy, talking with Shelly, says, you know, Andy tells Shelly, "I'm your roommate, and I like you. Most of the time, I like you." I guess referring to a lot of times he's being annoying. And he tells Shelly, "I, I got you a date, didn't I? So don't be embarrassing. Don't embarrass me." Just and then Andy tells Shelly, just be yourself. And then Shelly begins to remove the mask and goes, "Would you be yourself? You look like this." So Shelly's thinking he's unattractive. They finally get to the porch. All four of them there ready to greet Vera. Chris knocks at the door. A mother comes out. Um, it seems like she's a Mexican mother. Not to be racist, it's just, she's dark skinned and all that. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be racist, but I need to bring up these things for a later point. So when they knock on the door, Vera's mom comes out, and then Chris says, "Hello, Mrs. So and so, Mrs. Vera's mother. We're here to pick up Vera." And then Vera's mom says, "She is not going." She goes inside and slams the door. We hear in Spanish. I know it's in Spanish because I'm from Mexican descent. I'm Mexican American. Born here in the United States, I'm proud too. Oh, anyways, going back, we hear yelling, and it seems like Vera's yelling with her mom in Spanish. And Chris is like, "What they're saying?" And then Debbie says, "I don't know. I flunked Spanish." Mrs. Einstein, Debbie. And when the shouting's done, Vera pops out, and then she goes, "Okay, I'm ready," kind of deal. And they all look at her weird. And then she's like, "What's the matter? Is everything okay?" And then Vera's like, "Oh, just your mother daughter basic problems kind of deal." And then she goes, "Where's my date?" And Shelly's there, and he had the mask on again, the clear mask, or he still had it on. He lifts it up and he says sorry. Like, again, he's still insecure about his looks. He thinks he's unattractive. Immediately after that, Debbie says, the van's on fire." They see the van, there's a whole bunch of smoke coming out. You don't see fire, but you see a bunch of smoke coming out. They all run over there, and you see Andy in the passenger side, Chris and the dresser looking to in the van, see where the fire's coming. But no, it seems like they have two other passengers, two other young people. It's gonna be Chuck and Chili. Chuck and Chili. That sounds funny, isn't it? They're in the back of the van, and Chuck is a guy, Chili's a girl. It looks like they may be a couple. We will find out. Well, what the smoke is coming from, they're smoking bongs. They're doing their drugs back there. That's where all the smoke is coming from. So all of them take off in the van, and they're driving along, and they're still doing drugs and weed and all that. They also pass. They pass that grocery store where they killed Harold and Enda. And Chris sees, Debbie sees, and then Debbie tells Chris, "Don't let your imagination run with you." They keep driving. Shelly is with Vera, Chuck and Chili, and Shelly has his little black box. And Vera says, "What do you have in that thing?" And then Shelly says, "My whole world's in here." And she says, "In that little box?" Excuse me. And Shelly says, "Stick around, because when she asks what's in there, Shelly says, "Stick around, you see." And Chuck and Chili are doing like little joints, smoking joints. Shelly's like, "Is that all you're gonna do this weekend?" So it looks like they're going on vacation for a weekend. He goes, "Is that all you're gonna do this weekend? That's all you know how to do?" And then Chuck says, "It's not against the law." It's funny he says that because it is against the law to be smoking marijuana, even in that time, which is in the 80s, early mid 80s, when and at that time, on their time in the 80s, um, they pass a joint. You're like, "You want some Shelly?" He's like, "No." They ask Vera, "Do you want some of that joint?" She says, "Yeah, why not?" She takes a hit. Then Andy's in the front. He goes, "Let's not forget us unfortunate ones over here." And I believe it's Chuck. He hands Andy to take a hit. To take a hit. He takes a hit, and almost immediately you see their sheriff cars behind them, and they start panicking. And one of them says, "Throw the weed out." And they come up with an idea to eat the weed. They're gonna eat the grass from the joints, the marijuana. Chuck and Chili start eating the marijuana, and then they give some to Andy. They have it in a bag. They give some to Andy, and then he offers some to Chris. Chris goes, "No, I can't eat that. I'm driving." And then Debbie says, "I'm pregnant. I can't." Um, so they all start eating it. Now they're trying to get Shelly to eat some of the marijuana to hide the evidence from the cops. I already had mentioned somebody said throw it away, but Chuck's like, "No." I guess he's hoping he gets salvage some of it. So they all start eating the grass, the marijuana. And Chris says, they're too close. I have to pull over." Chris pulls over the van, and then the two sheriff's car, they pass them by, and they're like, "Oh man!" And I'm sure Chuck is disappointed that they have no more marijuana. They eat it, and they're all grossed out from eating the grass for nothing and wasting all that marijuana. Um, yeah, so the two sheriff's cars pass them. They keep driving. They keep driving down the road, and then Debbie tells Chris, "Stop the van," and she stops the van, and it turns out there's a old crazy man on the road. He's laying down in the middle of the road where they almost ran over him. They all get down, and Chris is like, "I was daydreaming. I didn't even see him." They pick up the old man. Shelly's there, and he says, "Don't touch him. You don't know where he's been." And then the old man says, "You are all kind, generous people. You're kind young people." And he starts talking. He has something in his hand. He goes, "I give you fair warning." He has and then Shelly goes, "Oh, he has an eyeball in his hand." And the old man says, they all run away from him. The old man says, "You should all leave. I have warned thee," something like that. Yeah, in the eyeball. And he said he also found body parts. So I think the gang, all of them, they might think that it's maybe an animal eyeball, whatever, because they're still gonna continue with their destination. They get in the van, they drive around the old man. Um, so they leave the old man. They keep going on the road, and it turns out they're arriving at Chris's house. It is all her residential, possibly her parents. It's not clear. Um, Now this is a part. On this part, I have to explain that I've seen this movie like a million times, and when the van pulls up, there's somebody at the window that has a red shirt, and they have their hand on the window, and I don't know why I didn't see that. And that's why sometimes you gotta see it. You want to see the whole movie. You gotta see it over and over again because so you can see things you maybe had missed for some reason. Maybe you had to go get popcorn or go to the restroom or something. That's my point. And I just found this out like barely, like last week since I've been watching this, and I've seen this since I was a kid. So yeah, there's someone in a red shirt in Chris's house, looking at the van pull up. When they get when the young people, all of them get there, the group gets there. When they get there, immediately everybody runs out to go see the lake. There's a lake over there, and they go mess around there, except for Chris. And they're like, "Chris, you coming?" She's like, "No, I'm gonna take the bags in, go check out the house." Chris gets a bag. It's probably her bag, and she takes it in the house. She gets there and she looks around, and almost immediately somebody gets her by the throat and puts her in the wall and starts kissing her. And it turns out, with the red shirt, so it turns out that this guy is Rick, Chris's old flame, possibly boyfriend. That's not clear. I know for sure they dated though. And then when Rick is kissing her with the throat, with his hand in her throat near the wall, wow, what a turn on. She immediately pushes him away. And then Rick's like, "Do I kind of like, do I, I'm feeling a, am I feeling a negative cold vibe here?" And Chris is like, "Well, I just want to slow it down, get to know the place, whatever." And yeah, because Rick tries to kiss her again. She's like, "Can you slow down, please? I'm just trying to get to know the place. We have the whole weekend." And then Rick says, "Well, there's only so many cold showers I could take." They're gonna go get the luggage, the rest of the bags from the van. And it's a cute scene. Rick Rick goes ahead of Chris outside the house. And he already walked down the stairs, but Chris is still on top like of stairs from the outside, from the porch. Well, not from the porch, but there's stairs. And then Chris jumps on Rick's back, so now and Rick gets her legs from the back, and he's giving her a conky ride. And Chris kisses Rick's cheek while she's in back of him, and then Rick says, "Chris, you have gained some weight since the last time you've been here." And then Chris slaps Rick in back of the head. She's like, "I have not," and it's a really cute scene, really cool. He keeps conky riding her or he gives her conky ride for a while, and then she's like, "Put me down." She gets down. They get to the van, and Rick says, "You get the bags inside the van. I'll get the bags on top of the van." because Rick is tall, I guess. Yeah, he is tall. He's pretty tall. 6'1", maybe 6'3". No, 6'2" or 6'3". He has to be taller than 6'1". So Chris does what he says. She's gonna get the bag from inside the van. Um, she goes to get a bag from the van from the outside. Well, she says this door was closed. Why is it open? Chris starts to get a bag, and then Shelly pops out, scaring her. And and Chris tells Shelly, "Why aren't you with the others?" And he goes, "They were talking about skinny dipping, and I'm not too skinny." So that ends there. Now we see Chris and Rick have made it to the barn. Rick is on there's like a second level on the barn. He's up there, like a like second stair. How you call it? Upstairs kind of deal. And Chris and Rick is pulling up hay with a pulley and a rope without a shirt. Woohoo! I'm just kidding. I'm not gays. I'm straight. No offense to y'all gay people out there. Even y'all gay people watching my video. Um, so he's pulling on the rope that's attached to hay. We're assuming. Well, we know Chris has to be putting the hook and the rope attached to a hay. They're bringing up hay to just to put it away. And Rick says, "Chris, let me ask you something. Why do y'all have so much hay and y'all don't have any horses?" Chris says, "Oh, my dad buys a lot of hay, and he promises to buy a horse, but he never does. No horse. You figure it out." They're talking, and Rick starts still pulling on the rope to bring more hay. And when he pulls it up, it turns out it's not a bale of hay. This time it's Chris. Chris starts laughing at him. And to get her back, Rick dropping the rope. Not too fast, but he does. She falls to the ground. Don't worry, she doesn't hurt herself because there's hay there in the bottom too. And once she hits the ground, almost immediately they hear a scream like ah. She immediately takes off to go investigate the scream, and so does Rick. Rick starts putting on his shirt. Um, they already know it's coming from the house. I don't know how they know. It could be anywhere. Um, so they run over there. Chris gets there first, and then Rick gets there behind her in the house. And Chris says, "Rick, you check down here, downstairs, and I'll go check upstairs." Chris goes checks upstairs, and it looks like I don't know how she like immediately knows she knows where the scream came from because she knocks on the door, goes on that into a room. She opens a door and goes into that room, and she goes to a closet and she opens it, and Shelly comes out, but it looks like he's dead. He has an axe on his head with blood trickling down. He falls to the side of the closet. There's like an open closet. He falls to the side there, and then he falls to the ground and he lands on his back with his eyes open, dead, with the axe in his head. And of course, Chris, she's startled and all that. She's already, I forgot to mention, she's like nervous about something being there. That's why she acted like that with Rick. Oh, anyways, like I said, Shelly's body falls to the ground. He has an axe on his head. She's freaking out. She screams. Um, Everybody else has gotten there. Rick has gotten there as well. They have arrived. All of them arrived from the group. Chili, Andy, Debbie. The only one I didn't see was Chuck. Vera's there. And they see Shelly's dead body on the floor. And oh, and Andy's there. And Andy gets there and he's reaching down, and Rick is like, "Don't touch him, don't touch him." And Andy starts tickling him on the side, and then Shelly immediately starts laughing. The way he laughs, it's funny. It's a funny part. You haven't seen it, you gotta see it. And Shelly gets up, and as soon as he gets up, Vera starts. Not Vera. Chris starts pushing. She pushes him twice, and then Rick tells Chris, "Leave him alone. He doesn't know any better." And he's like, "I didn't mean to," and then he's like, "You never mean to," and then he walks out. He goes, and Shelly's like, it was just a joke," and they all start walking out. Some of them, and Chili calls Shelly an a-hole. She walks out, and then asks, Vera says, "I gotta get out of here," and she asks Rick, "Can I have the keys to your car?" And Rick's like, "Sure." Rick gives Vera the keys. Oh, by the way, you need to bring this up, not to be racist, but Vera, she has to be Mexican. She was yelling at her mom in Spanish, and she's dark skinned. Not to be racist, but not being racist because I have family members that are dark skinned. So Rick gives her the keys. Shelly's still like it was a joke kind of deal. Then you see the barn, and Vera has taken off in Rick's car. It seems like it's a yellow Beetle kind of car. No, it's a buggy. They call it buggy, which today they call them Beetles. Small yellow car. Yeah, so Vera's driving from the barn. That's where Rick parked it. I was like, I had never seen it before. So yeah, Vera drives out of the barn with Rick's car where he had parked it. She's in the middle of the street, and then Shelly comes running out, and he says, "I gotta get out of here too." Um, he's at the window with Vera, and when he says, "I gotta get out of here too," Vera takes off without him, but she stops like 50 yards away. She honks the horn, like saying Kelly, like, "Okay, like, come on." Shelly goes into Vera's car, and they take off. Now, the scene changes. They're already at the store, the convenience store. Like, wow, that was fast. And Vera already has 2 bags full of supplies or food, what have you. That was fast. Would they have a time machine? Well, anyways, now we have Vera with the 2 bags, and she's already with the cash register, the cashier to pay. Now that is a part that I have to bring why she's Mexican to explain the part or think what I think, because the cash register says that'd be 18.50, and then Vera starts checking her back pocket or front pocket, and the cashier says, "And we don't accept any food stamps." Now your opinion, is that racist? Just because she knows she's dark skinned and she's not white. What are you trying to say? The cashier trying to say that Mexicans are poor and have to pay in food stamps. That's why to bring up her nationality or her race. And of course, Vera's gonna. I think she thinks it's racist, and the tone the cashier used. So Vera's already giving ugly looks at the cashier, but she says, "Shelly, I need some money." Shelly's looking, when she tells Shelly that, you see Shelly's looking like a Playboy or something in the food aisle. I guess it's this type of food. Anyways, he takes out his wallet and throws it at Vera to pay for the food and supplies. Um, when Shelly throws the wallet, it either comes short or he didn't throw it far enough, or Vera is a butterfingers and drops it. Um, but faux show, for sure, the wallet is falling on the floor, and Vera leans down and pick it up, and then somebody's boot steps on it. It sounds looks like a woman's boot, and that's where Vera runs into a biker girl named Fox. Fox is the one that stepped on the wallet with her boot, and Vera's like, "Give me the wallet." And then Shelly immediately says, "Hey, I believe that's my wallet." When he says that, two bikers come beside him, and one of them picks him up from the elbow, and then the other one picks him up too. And these bikers, their names are Loco and Ali, and Ali's a taller one. Loco's a shorter one. Before I forget, y'all to know that are not familiar with Spanish, Loco is just fun fact for you. Loco is a translation that name for crazy in Spanish to English. Yeah, so Loco means crazy, and that's the one of the shorter bikers' names is Loco, crazy. So they lift up Shelly when he said that I believe that's my wallet. So they have these tough bikers have Shelly restrained. Now we get back to Vera and Fox. Yeah, Fox opens the wallet and says, "You should rubber." It's a condom. How embarrassing. And Vera's like, "Give me the wallet." And Fox says, "It's give me. Don't your parents teach you any manners? It's give me your wallet, please, or may I have the wallet, please?" And then Vera says, "Okay, may I have the wallet, please?" And then Fox says, "No, it's may." You say, "May I have the wallet, please, ma'am?" And Vera, giving her ugly looks again, is like, "May I have the wallet, please, ma'am?" Fox has a wallet. She slams it on rudely on Vera's hand. Vera goes to go takes the 20 out and pays the cashier the money for the food. Immediately looking, with her face disgusted and mad. She pays for it. The Loco and Ali, those two bikers, Loco and Ali, they let Shelly go, and Shelly goes with Vera, and they walk outside the store. Excuse me. So Shelly and Vera are walking outside the store, and Shelly was like, "Next time I know how to handle a situation like that." You know what I have to say to Shelly? It's like, "Whatever, Shelly, whatever." And Vera tells Shelly, "You gotta drive because the way I feel right now, as mad as I feel right now, probably crashes into something." So Shelly goes on the driver's side to drive. Vera goes on the passenger seat, and this dumb thing happens. The biker, the taller one, the tougher one, Ali, he gets out of the store. Excuse me. He gets out of the store. He's not even looking at Shelly and Vera. But as soon as Shelly sees him come out of the store, which is immediately, he starts staring at Ali. Excuse me. And then Vera stares at Ali. That's really dumb. Why are you gonna stare at a biker that could kick your butt and has already been giving you problems? That's really dumb. Just ignore me. You should drove away. But no, they both stare at Ali, and Ali's not even looking at him. He's looking at the road, and they're looking at it from the side. But Ali notices they're staring at him, so he's looking back at them. And Shelly tells her, "Oh, we better get out of here." And Vera's like, "That's a good idea. Let's get out of here." So Shelly nervously steps on the gas, but instead of going forward, he goes in reverse and he hits the bikers' bikes. He hits one bike and then the bike topples the other bike from the impact because they're close together. And they're like, "Wow." And Ali was already looking at him. He's mad. He saw that, of course. He was drinking a tall boy outside, all comfortable, but now he's mad because of Shelly knocking down their motorcycles. He gets the tall boy beer and he throws it on the floor. Now he's really upset. He's mad. Shelly is not that close to him. And this is a dumb thing. He drives straight towards Ali. Why don't you drive around him, genius? Why don't you drive around him? No, he drives straight to Ali. And Ali doesn't back down because he's crazy. He's a crazy biker. And yeah, most bikers are tough. That's why they're bikers. And Ali has a chain, a big chain wrapped around his hand. He goes like this, and Shelly's going in front of him, and Shelly didn't run over. I may want to run over him. Might be self defense. I don't know. Maybe we'll get in trouble. Well, anyway, Shelly stops anyways right where Ali's like this. Ali walks around to Shelly on the passenger window. Ali smiles at Shelly, and then Shelly smiles back. And it doesn't matter because Ali probably messing around with him. With his hand with a chain, he breaks the front windshield, smashes it. And then he goes to Jelly, like my friend Jelly. No, then he goes to Shelly's side and he breaks the side window to Shelly's vehicle. And understandably, Shelly drives away from Ali, and Ali is gonna go on his bike and go after him. But Shelly drives like 50, no, probably like close to 100 miles, not 100 miles, 100 yards away. But Shelly, he does a U-turn, he's gonna come back towards Ali. And Vera's like, "What you doing?" And then Shelly says, this time they went too far. Shelly goes in he takes the car. Now he's, like I said, did the U-turn. Now he's going towards Ali. It looks like he's gonna hit Ali. Like he's gonna run over Ali. But when Shelly gets to Ali, Ali runs real quick out of the way, and Ali drops the bike because he was gonna chase after him. And Shelly runs over the front tire, and then he runs off. And it had to damage the tire of the bike. And then, so yeah, Shelly and Vera then drive off. And then you see Ali very mad. He's like, "I'm gonna get you." He goes in the middle of the street and he throws something on the floor. So now he's gonna get them, and he's really mad. We get back to Chris's house, and you see that they're all hanging out. You got Debbie. She's on the grass, and she's in a bikini, and she's sunbathing. Above her, I don't know how he's above her. He's on something, a platform. You have Andy's. He's rolling down a yo-yo, and above Debbie, and The yo-yo's like almost hitting her nose, and he does hit her nose. And Debbie's like, I'm gonna break your string, Andy. Keep it up. Watch out with that thing. You got Chuck and Chili chilling out. Get it? Chili and chilling out. They're sitting on the grass. And Shelly and Vera, they get there with they park the car at the house, and Rick's Beetle car with smashed windows. Chuck and Chili see the smashed windows, and they go to the car, and Debbie and Andy see too, but they stay there, and they're like, "Man, what happened to the car?" And Chuck is the same thing. What happened to the car, man? And Shelly gets out with a bag. Vera has the other bag. And then Shelly says, "Oh, we ran into a motorcycle gang." And Vera says, "Yeah, but Shelly showed them there are other ways." And Shelly's all cocky. He's like, "It was nothing." Um, Vera gives one bag of supplies or food to Chili, and Shelly gives a bag to Chuck, and they're all gonna go inside. But Rick gets there, and Chris gets there, and Rick's like, "What do you do with my poor car?" And Shelly gives Rick the keys, and he goes, "It's just you know, you know, just it's just some minor adjustments you do, and the car will be good as new." Shelly takes off inside, and Vera's gonna go inside. And I did notice it was cute that Shelly got Vera by the elbow when they're going upstairs, and I'm surprised Vera let Shelly touch her. But it's only for a couple of seconds or 3 seconds. Then he lets go of her elbow and they go inside. Because I'm thinking that Vera doesn't find him attractive, but maybe this rebellious side of Shelly she finds attractive. I mean, Vera's rebellious to her mom, talking back and all that. Anyway, so they go inside the house, and Rick, he looks like he's gonna leave, and he's like, "I'm out of here." But Chris says, "Where are you going?" And Rick says, "Away from here." And Chris like, "Stay with me." And then Rick says, "Why?" Asks, "Why should I?" And then Chris says, "Because I want you to." And Rick's like, "Okay, get in." No, first he says, "You don't play fair, do you?" And he's like, "What?" She didn't say that much, but I guess because he's attracted to her, or she's saying it in a cute, cuddly way. And I guess that's why he thinks like, "Oh, you don't play fair." So Rick says, "Get in." So they get into Rick's car and they drive off. After that, we got Debbie and Andy. They're still outside. And Debbie's like, "Let's go for a swim in the lake." And Andy's like he doesn't know. And Debbie says, "We'll be all alone and we can do whatever you want." And Andy's like, "Sounds disgusting." And those two horn dogs. He's like, it sounds disgusting. I like it." So they agree to go to swim at the lake, and Debbie goes, "Go meet me at the lake. I'm gonna get some towels." And then Andy has a horn dog look in his face. So they both take off and they're gonna go meet at the lake. Then we see the van, and then we see Loco creeping up on the side of the van and gets to the back of the van, and he goes rough. And I'm like, "What's going on?" And then Ali comes out, so that barking noise sound the Loco did, it's it's obvious it's to signal Ali that the coast is clear. Ali comes out, and they have gas tanks and a siphon hose. And then Fox comes out, and looks like they're gonna siphon the gas from the van. And they have a lot of gas tanks. Like, where'd they get it? I guess they bought it from the convenience store. They stole them somewhere. And they have the siphon hose. And then Fox is there, and she says, um, "This is not a good idea, Ali." And Ali says, "Don't worry, baby. Nobody's gonna get hurt." Now he says "baby," so I guess it's his girlfriend. And Loco's like, "We have to settle the store, don't we?" So yeah, says they have to settle the score, get even, revenge, whatever. And it's funny because Ali takes the cap out from the van, the gas tank cap, and Loco says, "Let me do it," and then Ali pushes him away like, "I know what I'm doing." And then he takes a cigarette from Loco's mouth, and it's lit. And like, very smart Loco, you can blow you and your friend up in Fox, because you can have smoking any kind of fire or anything hot and freaking near gas. So when Ali takes the lit smoke out of Loco's mouth, he flicks it away. After he said he's in the ones in the siphon the gas, and then when he flicks the smoke away, it's funny because Loco has another smoke in his ear. He takes it out and puts it in his mouth, but at least this one's not lit. Um, so they're gonna siphon the gas from the van, and then we have Fox. It looks like, what is there to do? She sees a barn. She's gonna go explore the barn. So Fox goes to the barn. Now I have to bring this up before I forget. Once again, I've seen this a million times and I did not see this. Because Fox, she gets in. There's like a bale of hay. She kicks it. Then she gets a metal thing. She's hitting other metal things inside the barn. And you see, I saw a shadow, and I saw Jason actually come out behind her. Not behind her, but kind of far away from, well, maybe like 8 feet away. And you see him moving like this in the background. But you don't see his face because there's something covering his face. Like, there's something in the way, like some metal thing, or I don't know what. Like I said, I saw this a million times, and I just noticed also 2 weeks along with Rick's red shirt that I mentioned earlier, when the van came up, when they all got there in the van in front of Chris's house. So I'm like, wow, why didn't I see this before? And that's because now I can't even see that good. I saw this when I was small, and I had good vision back then. I could see. So that's weird. So, anyways, so we see Jason in the background and Fox in front. Fox sees some other stuff. She sees a horse's saddle on the stall. Why do they have a horse's saddle? Like Chris said, they don't even have a horse. That's weird. And then she goes to a canteen that's on the stall, and it's around a pole or whatever. She gets the canteen, looks at it, and then she puts it back. Hey, at least she put it back. At least she put it back. And she sees the ladder. She decides to go explore upstairs on the second level, where Rick was picking up from the pulley and the rope earlier. So she goes upstairs, and she's gonna go on the second level. She climbs the ladder. Now we see, going back to Ali and Loco, they're still siphoning the gas. They they probably put a lot of gas in 2 gas tanks because Ali tells Loco, um, go take those 2 gallons of gas in those tanks. Go start pouring this around the barn. So Loco does that, and when he's going towards the barn, he's like, looks like he's a secret agent, whatever. He's like with his head down and checking out if anybody's seen him, trying to make sure that he doesn't get caught and nobody sees him. So he goes to the barn, and he has the gas tanks, and he looks up, and there's a fox. Oh, by the way, Fox actually has like a fox tail skin on her side of her belt or whatever hanging down. So I guess that's one reason they call her Fox. Anyways, Loco has the two gas tanks, and he goes over there and he sees Fox, but she's on the second level, and she's swinging off of the rope that Rick was pulling up hay earlier. She's swinging back and forth. She's like a little girl. She's like wee wee from the inside to the outside. She's swinging on the rope wee wee, and Loco's like tells her, "Ollie's gonna get mad. Stop fooling around." And he goes to Loco, puts the two gas tanks down for a second or two, and then when he looks up, Fox is gone and the rope is swinging by itself. And when she was swinging, he even threw something at her. I don't know what it was. It's funny. And but yeah, when he puts the gas tanks down, Fox is not there anymore, but the rope is still swinging by itself, and it's like kind of odd. And Loco's like, Fox, Fox. Loco gets to the barn, and he puts the gas tanks down. And now he's inside the barn. He's gonna go look for the ladder to go upstairs to go look for Fox. That's the last time he saw her. But when he's in there, still like, Fox, Fox. And then Loco climbs up the ladder, and he's looking around, and then he turns one way, and he sees that Fox is dead, and she has a pitchfork that went through her throat, and has got into a beam or one of the boards up there. She's hanging up there, so someone is strong enough to push the pitchfork through her throat and then get stuck to the board, so she's hanging like that between the pitchfork and the board, and she's hanging up there with her feet dangling. Of course, Loco gets scared. He turns a little bit, and immediately someone has stabbed him with another pitchfork. Chris, you gotta tell your dad to stop buying pitchforks. They're killing people. So Jason has stabbed Loco with a pitchfork, and it's funny because the stick is like this. It looks funny. Then he falls down, and of course his face is full of pain. He goes down. So now Loco dead. So we got Fox dead, she dead, and we got Loco dead. Now we go back with Ali. Ali brings more gas tanks, and he's coming to the barn. It reminds me like the Three Little Piggies. I don't know why. He gets to the barn. He gets to the entrance with doors. He puts the gas tank down. And he opens it with his foot. And he goes inside, puts the gas tanks down, and he's like, "Loco, Ali, where are you?" and all that. And he gets close to where the ladder is. Why, I don't know. And he's below the entrance of the ladder, where he's right below. Excuse me, where you would insert the second floor. The hole's there where you crawl up from the ladder. When you go the ladder, you go upstairs. You see it's like a square opening you get in. He's right under that, and then a body is thrown on top of Ali, and it's Loco's body, and it lands on top of Ali from that opening where you enter from the ladder. Loco's body falls on Ali, and he's like, he drops Ali, and he sees that Loco body's on him, and it's kind of weird because he doesn't yell "You Loco" because I guess he don't care about him. He pushes Loco's body out of the way, and he yells "Fox." I guess it makes sense because it's his lady. He doesn't care more about his lady than his friend or his girlfriend. When he yells "Fox," almost immediately, I'm gonna keep saying that. I guess somebody has. You see that they dropped, like they jumped from the second level to the bottom, and this person has landed in one of the horses stalls. Now this is another dumb part. Ali goes. Ali finds a machete, and he goes to the stall, and he goes to the wall and he starts swinging at a web or like in a net. Why, I don't know. Jason Voorhees is at least 6'7", 6'8". How can you not see somebody that's that big? He's not skinny either. He's big. He's not skinny like a basketball player. Again, he's big. At 6'7", 6'8". And then, so Ali's looking for him, for Jason who has fallen, which he doesn't know, and Ali, from swinging at that net with a machete, cutting it up or whatever, or hitting it, he turns around and now he sees Jason. So Ali takes a swing at Jason. It's a horrible swing. It would hit him like on the side right here, but Jason just moves a little bit, and Ali misses with a swing, and his face is exposed like that. And then Jason has a club, and he clubs Ali, hits him with a club to the face, and Ali goes down and on his back, and then Jason gets on top of him and starts clubbing away, boom, 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 killing Ali. Ali's there with his body motionless, so he did. So Jason has taken out the 3 bikers already. After that, we see that Jason's looking outside a barn window, and he sees Debbie and Andy have came from the lake from their swim. Andy's like walking on his hands, and he tells Debbie, let's go in the barn." And Debbie says, "I'm too cold, I'm going to the house." And Andy's like, "Come on, we can roll around the hay." And then Debbie says, you can go in there and go play with yourself." Debbie takes off, and he's still looking at the barn, but finally he says, "Wait up," he goes with Debbie. After that, we're going to see that it is now dark. It's now nighttime. And we're going to go to Andy and, I'm sorry, not Andy. We're going to go to Chris and Rick to see where they got him. Remember, they take off in Rick's car. They're out in the woods, but they're near a shed. And Rick's lights are on. And we just know they're there. That's where they go hanging out at. Remember, it's nighttime. After that, we have the group. They're hanging out at nighttime. Everything's nighttime from right now till a long time. But the group is at Chris's house, and you got Chuck and Chili or chilling. You said Chuck and Chili are chilling. They're somewhere in the house, like they're in the living room with them, and it looks like they've like a sofa or something, and they're both asleep. And we have Andy and Shelly are juggling fruit, and this time I remember what they're juggling. Shelly is juggling apples, and Andy's juggling little oranges. That's a unfair advantage because Shelly's juggling the apples. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I've never juggled before. And we got Vera and Debbie. They're just watching. And Debbie tells Vera, "I know how to stop this." She goes to Andy and says, "I know something. I know a way better way you can be using your hands for. Like she has something better for him to do with his hands instead of juggling." And she says that to Andy's ear. Andy drops the oranges. Andy's like, "You win." So Andy knows if he goes with Debbie, they're gonna go have sex upstairs. So they do go. And you got, after that, Shelly continues. He starts juggling, but he does it a different way. It goes like this. Before it was just going like that, the regular one. Now he's going like this, juggling like that. Vera gets up, and she gets his metal long thing, sharp thing, which I don't know. I forgot to look at what it is called, but it's a thing to move the wood in the fireplace. There's a fireplace there. She's moving it, and when she does that, she's bending over. And when she bends over, she doesn't see, but Shelly stops juggling and starts looking at her butt. And then when she gets back up, Shelly starts juggling again. And then Vera tells Shelly, she stands by and she goes, "You're really good at that." And Shelly stops juggling, and he starts telling Vera, "Vera, we get to know each other, and I like you. I really, really like you." And at that point, Vera gets her fingers and puts it on Shelly's mouth, and because Shelly's about to say, I was wondering we could. And that's when Vera puts her two fingers on Shelly's mouth. He goes, "I don't think so." Then Vera says, "I'm going to go out for a while, and then when I come back, we can talk." So Vera goes out, and Shelly goes, "He's talking to himself," like she said. "Yeah, just talk." And then he calls it a beer word, all kind of mad. And we see Vera, she walks on the porch, and then she walks some more somewhere. Now we got Chuck. He has waken up from his slumber. He's woken up from sleeping. And he goes outside and he decides he's got to go to the outhouse. And here we go again, the toilet scene. He goes on the toilet, and then he's smoking dope. He's smoking a marijuana blunt. And it's funny because I guess he thinks he's high already. And when he's smoking, it's like the shack starts shaking. I don't know what it says. He's shaking it or they have an earthquake there. I think I vote somebody's shaking it. And at first, like, "Oh, all right," like he's high. But I can see it shaking and he starts getting scared. It's funny. And so, yeah, he's in the toilet. When that happens, again, another dum-dum. He just gets up and picks up the pants. Don't even try to wipe. I don't know what's up with these Friday 13th people that need to show. They need to take him to school to go learn how to wipe or something. So yeah, he picks up his pants without wiping. Come on, once again, at least pretend you're wiping or something, bro. So, anyways, before I get into that, more mad about that, he goes outside the outhouse. He's looking around, and then Chili just, Chili and Shelly sound the same. No, but it's Chili, the girl, is his girlfriend, I guess, pops up in his face and scares Chuck. And Chuck's like, he tells Chili, between you and Shelly, I'm surprised I haven't gotten a heart attack already. Oh, and I forgot to say that before he went to the outhouse to do his business, go in the toilet, he thought he saw Shelly go into the barn, and Chuck tells Chili, "Hey, I think I saw Shelly," and then Chili goes, "What's Butterball up to?" Chili calls Shelly Butterball, and he's like, "Yeah, he went into the barn," and then Chili says, "Let's go give him a taste of his own medicine," and Chuck's like, "No, I don't want to," but Chili convinced him, "Hey, let's go to the barn and go scare him." So Chili and Chuck go to the barn, and they go inside the barn, and Chili's like, "Shh," and then she passes a blunt to Chuck to hold, so he gets the blunt. Excuse me. Chili finds an axe. She gets the axe. She sees they check a stall. They don't see anything. Then they see a door open from the stall, and she's like, "Well, he's probably there." And she goes into that stall where the door opened by itself, and she jumps. She goes, "Yeah!" with the axe. She sees nobody's there, but she thought Chili was in there for sure. I mean, Shelly was in there for sure. And then Chili's like, she puts the axe like this. She's like, "Where is he?" And they give up, and Chili takes off with Chuck. They're in arm in arm, and Chuck's like, "I'm scared," and Chili's like, "Don't worry, huh? No, won't anything happen to you." She drops the axe, and they walk off out of the barn. Next, we have Vera. She's at a dock, like a little small dock, because it runs across the water, and she's sitting down at the edge of the dock with her feet hanging close to the water, near the water. And a hand appears and gets Vera by her foot, hanging up. Whenever one foot, the hand appears out of the water, gets her foot or near her ankle. And this was controversial to me because I believe this hand, she's trying to get her foot away from this guy's hand or whoever's under the water. And I thought this person took off the shoe. And I thought it would get wet or land in the water. Anyways, Vera manages to get her foot away from this hand that's in the water. And then she gets up with her eyes like really scared like that. And she walks back, and on the other side of the dock, that little dock, someone jumps up with a spear and a hockey mask. Remember hockey mask? And they immediately start laughing. They start laughing, and they scare. Of course, they scared Vera. This person takes out the hockey mask, and it's Shelly. Of course, Vera's getting mad, but Shelly says first, that's why a beautiful girl shouldn't be walking around the woods. Just kind of dumb. I don't think she's walking on the woods. She's on the dock with the water. And then Vera's like Shelly, why do you have to do these stupid things? And Shelly goes, I do it so you can, because I just want you to like me. And she goes, I do like you, but not when you're acting like a jerk. Then Shelly says, well, being a jerk is better than a nothing. And she says a real cute. Vera says, I never said you were nothing. And Shelly's like, you know what? I can tell. I know what you're thinking. I know. I can, I can tell. And then Vera says, well, you're wrong. Shelly, you're wrong. Shelly walks away back to the house. And Vera's like trying to call him back. Shelly, Shelly. Shelly walks to the house. He's on the porch, and they have like a bench swing kind of deal on the porch, a country thing. He sits on it. Shelly, no, Vera goes back to the dock, goes sits down. He's gonna be hanging out, thinking. And Shelly on that swinging bench, he looks at the barn. He looks at her first, and then he looks at the barn. And he just figures, "Oh, I'm gonna go explore the barn." So he walks towards the barn. Yeah, at one point he actually, I think he hears something maybe, because he goes to the side window and he gets on some logs where he can step up and see that side window. And he's looking and he goes, Jilly, Chuck, are you doing something I'm not supposed to be seeing? Then he goes. Then he goes to the front doors of the barn. He gets in. He finds a light switch. He turns it on, and immediately when he turns the light switch on inside the barn, something falls to his right, and it looks like It looked to me at first net full of rocks, but he gets that thing, whatever it is, he pulls it down, and he gets like this, and he throws it to the side. I mean, he did it easily, so it's not a rock, so I don't know what's inside that net. That's interesting. I don't know what it is. And then that's the end of that. That's all they show of that. Um, After that, they show Debbie and Andy. They're in the room, and they're about to have sex, and then Andy's they're gonna have sex on the hammock. Sorry, I forgot to tell y'all. There's a hammock, like a swinging. If you all don't know what a hammock is, like a swinging net kind of deal where you can lay down instead of a bed. And Andy and Debbie are there in the room with the hammock, and Andy goes, "So how do we do it?" And then Debbie, the brains of the operation, says, "Well, first we take off our clothes." And she goes, then you get on top of me, or I can get on top of you, like all smart ass. She's talking like, yeah, like in class, like, yeah, like 1 + 1 is 2. She's talking like that, but talking about sex. And then Andy says, no, how are we going to do it on the hammock? She starts taking off her clothes, and Debbie says, well, we'll think of something. It's like almost naked already, right? She's naked from the top. So they get on the hammock, and they start making out, whatever, getting ready to have sex. Now, I need to bring this up before I forget. These points that I thought about that I don't know if anybody's brought up. Debbie says she's pregnant. She doesn't look pregnant. She looks skinny, so she could be lying. Then we have Andy with Debbie. We do not know if Debbie's the father of this baby. Andy could just be having sex with somebody that's pregnant from another guy. Another point, Debbie's a horn dog just like Andy. Like, what a class act she is, just my opinion. I don't think that's a good reputation, just my opinion. So they're gonna have the sex. We leave there and we're gonna go back to Rick and Chris. remember Rick and Chris are in the woods. It's dark, and Rick has his lights on from the car. Rick is like getting a, he's out there, and by the way, that there's like a shack there, and there's pouring water. I don't know from what. So I don't know exactly where they're at. A well near a shack kind of deal. I don't know. But there is a kind of like a little lake or stream or something because Rick gets a rock and he tosses it in the stream like just for fun, whatever. And Rick asks Chris, um, "Why'd you come back here, Chris?" And then Chris says, "To prove that I'm strong enough." And Chris tells Rick, she tells Rick, "Something happened to me, but I couldn't tell you then, but I can tell you now." And Rick's like, "You don't have to tell me if you don't want to." And she's like, "I want to." Then Chris starts telling him what happened. She says that 2 years ago or way before that, before she left, that her and Rick had went to they went out and they had such a good time, but it was getting late and she didn't care because she was having such a good time with Rick. And and she says, "I knew my parents were gonna be mad, and yeah, they were waiting for me." When she got home, then her parents were waiting for her, and they were mad for her because she was late. They immediately started cussing her out. Her mom slapped her, and then Chris said, "That's the first time my mom ever slapped me." And she got so mad with her parents that she had a plan. She was gonna run out into the woods and have them worry about her and go look for her. She said it was raining, and she found a dry spot near the oak tree, and she was there, and she fell asleep under the oak tree in that dry spot. And she woke up and she heard footsteps, and she thought it was her dad. But no, who turned up was an ugly man that came and attacked her. I remember she was already like laying on the tree. She wasn't standing up. So the man was up, and she said he had a knife too. And Chris tried to. She said she tried to crawl away and squirm out of it. And the man got on top of her and got her legs. And well, before that, he tried to, he had the knife. He was gonna try to stab her, but Chris said she was so traumatized, she was so scared, but she still managed to kick the knife out of that ugly man's hands. Um, um, and that the man got a hold of her, and she was still trying to get away, but she blacked out, and she don't know what happened after that. So that's what Chris was all nervous about and had her so traumatized. And she said after that she was able to go home and her parents knew all about it and never mentioned it again. After that, there's a noise. Chris is scared. She goes, "What was that?" And Rick says, "Oh, it's the battery." And the lights had went out. Rick says, "That's the battery of the car." He goes, "I charged it yesterday, but I guess it didn't take." He's like, "Let me see if the car starts." He turns the key. It doesn't want to start. And he goes, "Doesn't want to start." He says, "We'll walk back to your house. It's okay." He goes, and he says he knows a shortcut. So they're gonna walk back to the house. Um, then we go back to Vera. She's she's still back sitting at that little small dock at the lake. Um, She remembers she has Shelly's wallet. I think she stole it. I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure she just forgot to give it back to him. And Shelly never asked for it. So, hey, open game, it's hers. No, I'm just kidding. No, but she takes out, she goes into her pocket, realizes she has Shelly's wallet. And it's real, I love this part, it's really cute. She opens it up and it shows Shelly around, a hand around with some older lady. And we're going to think it's her mom. It hit Shelly's mom. And it's really cute. Like a lot of sons, I don't think they want to take pictures with their mom, but he does. So it's really cute. My opinion, I don't know. I just think that. Well, she's gonna get up, and then with her hand on the wallet, holding the wallet, she accidentally drops the wallet in the lake. She tries to reach for it. She can't. She can't get it. And then the stream of the lake, it starts taking the wallet. So she's gonna have to go around the dock and get into the bank of the lake. For y'all don't know, the bank is just the side of the lake. She's following the lake on the side, and she's realizing to get the wallet, and it's floating. It's floating on the water. But she realizes she's gonna have to take off her shoes, to not wear her shoes, and go after the wallet. She's gonna have to go barefooted into the lake and get it. So she takes off her, she unties her shoes, her cute little shoes. She unties her shoes, and she gets into the water barefooted, and she's gonna reach for the wallet. She's almost there, but she sees somebody coming, and she thinks it's Shelly. She's like, "I dropped your wallet. I'm sorry." And she goes, "I got it now." Then she's looking at this individual, and you can see that he has a hockey mask on. The first time you see that hockey mask, remember that, Troy? So he has a hockey mask on, and then she tells this man like, "Who are you?" Or she asks, "Who are you?" And the guy with the hockey mask has a spear. He starts pointing at her, and she's like, "Cut that out now. That's not funny." And then the man with the hockey mask, and we know it's Jason now, he shoots the spear gun and it hits Vera right in the eye, and it goes back her head, instantly killing her, and she falls in the water. I have to watch when I go like that. Sometimes I'm sickly, so I might poke my eye for some reason. It's happened before. Um, yeah, so Vera gets a spear in the eye. She falls in the water. Now she dead. Hey, what about Shelly's wallet? It's on the water. Not to be mean or anything. Here's that part like, all cool. Jason drops the spear gun on the floor. Drops it. No need anymore. Only had one spear probably. And he looks towards the house. He looks towards Chris's house, which, you know, for sure we know at least Andy and Debbie are there having sex. So now we're gonna go to Andy and Debbie. They're finishing up with the sex. They're like kissing up, finishing up their deal, having sex. And then Debbie tells Andy on the hammock, it's our best one ever. And Debbie says, who was responsible for that? Me, you, or the hammock having the best one ever having sex? And then Andy says, I vote me. And then Debbie says, I vote the hammock. That's where I think like Debbie looks like the brains of that operation. She looks like she's way smarter than Andy. It's very sarcastic, funny. Debbie gets up, and Andy's like, "Where are you going?" Debbie starts putting on her robe and she says, I'm gonna go take a shower. You should try it sometime. So Debbie goes to take her shower. Um, Debbie takes a rose. She's in the shower now, and then she hears something, and you can hear it though. And Andy's asking, "Hey, do you want a beer?" Andy's like yelling, "Can you hear me?" And Debbie's like, "Barely." And and then you see something hit the curtain where Debbie's at. She doesn't get scared that much. And she opens a curtain, and then she sees feet in some pants, and it's Andy doing a handstand, hitting the curtain. Then Andy flips up, not flips up. Well, he gets up, and he asks Debbie, "No, I was asking, do you want a beer?" And then Debbie says, "Yeah, sure." She's supposed to be drinking beer. She's pregnant. I don't know about that. And then he's like, "Okay, I'll be right back." And he does his handstand, and he goes to the middle of the hall. And then from the handstand, he looks back or forward, I don't know what, but he sees somebody in their boots or whatever. And he's like, and Jason has a machete, and he swings downward. Remember, he has his feet in the air. He's doing his handstand walking thing, and then Jason gets his machete and he swings and he swings in between Andy's legs, splitting Andy somewhat. I don't know how much, but killing Andy. So Andy dead from his career and hand walking. Then we go to Debbie. Debbie changed her mindset. She's still in the shower. She's like, "Andy, forget about it. I don't want that beer." And she turns off the water. She walks out. She puts her robe on. And she's like, "Andy." She's in the hallway. "Andy, Andy." She's like, "Oh man, I don't like when you don't answer me." And then she sees two magazines on a small table or something. She looks at both of them. And then she drops one and gets the other. Yeah, don't be greedy, Debbie. At the first time I thought she'd take both of them, but no, she takes one and drops the other one. Then she walks back to Chris's room, and she gets on the hammock, and she starts reading and looking at the pictures in the magazine. Now I noticed she does see there's like a Godzilla in the magazine, and on the other page she has Godzilla fighting another monster. So I guess she's a Godzilla fan or something. And then when she saw the magazine, she opened up one eye, like, oh, she liked it. Wow, she must really like to read or likes magazines. Now anyway, she's reading her magazine, and then there's like a red liquid hitting the pages. She gets it, like, what's this? Red stuff. She looks up, and it's Andy's body, like all his guts are up. He's up there in the ceiling. I don't know how Jason got him up there. I would like to know, but Jason is strong, and maybe there's a board there to hold up his body. And there we go again with almost immediately when she sees that his body's up there, she's like, and then there's a knife coming through her sternum in the middle of her chest. So you know it's Jason, and at first I thought it was a machete, but no, it's a knife. And he has put a knife through Debbie from under the hammock into her. And this is controversial, and I think it's a weird part, because we said the knife does go to her chest. That's almost immediately gonna kill you. And it's gonna be very, very painful. I can't even imagine that someone doing that to me. And we're gonna talk about it further right now. She's like, oh, and the knife's coming through her chest. And so now Debbie dead. That's like a direct instant kill right there, which we will talk about. When that happens, now we're gonna go to Chuck and Chili. They're in the kitchen, and I remember there's a part where Chuck he has a popcorn going in a pot, whatever, and it's flying up, and he's going like, it's like eating the popcorn. It's funny. But now we have them right now. Chuck and Chili are in the kitchen, and Chili says, "I think I heard a scream," and yeah, Chili says, "I think I heard a scream," and then Chuck says, "Oh, it's probably Debbie having another orgasm." Instead of he says it like, well, maybe it's Debbie. She made straight A's in a report card, or or Debbie won a valedictorian, but no, he comes up with, oh, it's probably Debbie having another orgasm. That Debbie, she's a class act. Then Chili, she screams out too. Oh no. Then Chuck says, "Hey Chili, why don't you ever scream when we have sex?" And then Chili says, "Well, give me something to scream about." uh, and then Chili screams, "Ah!" like that. And Chuck's like, "What?" And Chili says, "No, don't worry about it. I'm just practicing." And then Chuck's like, "Well, don't do that." um, I'm gonna bring the controversial part in. Is like if when Debbie's getting killed with a knife just coming through her chest, I really don't think she can scream at that point because for one, that's it's instantly gonna kill you. For two, it's gonna be so painful you can't scream. That's just my opinion. Anybody has another opinion, they can tell me. Can you possibly scream when there's a freaking knife going through your sternum right here, in the middle of your chest? My opinion, I think not. I think it's too painful. You don't have time, and it's an instant death. So I question if how Chili heard her scream. I don't think Debbie can scream from there. Anyways, let's get back to Chuck and Chili. Already said that Chili screamed and then Chuck said, "What?" And then she's like, "Just practicing. We'll go from there." And then the lights turn off, and I don't know how. I guess she's super prepared. Chili has a flashlight and gives it to Chuck and says, "Hey, go to that shack back there with a fuse box." And how do they know where the fuse box is? Well, I guess they're assuming it's there. I don't know. Then Chili says, "Here," gives Chuck the flashlight. "Go check out the fuse box in that shack with her, whatever." And she's like, and then Chuck's like, "Alone in the dark." Then Chili says, "Be a man, man." Hey, people are funny, man. Um, so Chuck is gonna go outside and go barefooted. He goes barefooted to that shack to go check that fuse box. Now I will say this: be careful when you go. I would not walk outside, especially outside barefooted, because I stepped on like a little metal wire, and I'm diabetic, and I didn't have a tetanus shot, so I was in the hospital like for a week. And I guess they took out the wire there and then. I don't remember when they took it off. And I had a I had to had someone come to my house and clean out my wound and all. I'm sorry, I didn't go back to the wound, but man, just watch it. Don't step on anything outside. It's very dangerous to be, especially in a farm where there's little metal things, whatever. Anyways, back to Chuck. Chuck goes walking barefooted. Please don't do that. Anyways, or you end up like me. Yeah, but Chuck's walking barefooted. He he goes in. He finds a shack. He's with a flashlight in the dark. He's scared. He first looks at the wall. There's a bat there. It's dead. He's like, oh. And then he walks more, and he finds a naked picture of a girl. He's like, all right. Now we're gonna go back to Chili. Chili's in still in the kitchen. She hears something at the door. She opens the door. Shelly comes in with his throat slit. And the first thing Chili tells Shelly, Chili and Chili, it's on rhymes. The first thing Chili tells Shelly is, nice makeup job. She walks away from Shelly, and he's there bleeding out. And Shelly falls to the floor. Now back to Chuck. He sees a naked picture on the wall in the shack. He finds a fuse box, and he turns the switch. He's like, that should do it. And when he turns around, Jason is there in his hockey mask. And he pushes Shelly in it. I'm sorry, he pushes Chuck, and he pushes him to the wall, and Chuck's hand hits the fuse box, electrocuting Chuck. Now Chuck dead. He dead. Now I go back to Chili and Shelly. Remember, Shelly has fallen to the floor with a slit throat, and Chili goes to Shelly and says, "Stop messing around, man. Get up, Shelly." I will say her voice sounds really cute here, and Shelly goes, "Get up, Shelly. Get up. Stop playing, man." And then when she touches Shelly's blood, she's thinking, "Oh, like really? I think this guy is dying, or he's dead now. He's not moving." Now I need to mention this before I forget. They do not show when Jason kills Shelly or slits his throat. So Shelly dead. Chili runs to the living room, and she runs upstairs. She goes, "Andy, Debbie, Shelly's dead." She runs down hysterically, and she's like moving around in the living room, and you see Jason. He has gotten to the fireplace, and he's gotten that sharp object, which I don't know what it's called. You guys let me know what it is. That it's a metal, like a metal stick with a sharp ending to it, and it's all hot. The point of it, he gets that metal device, that skinny metal device, and hysterically, Chili turns around, and then Jason stabs her through the stomach with it. With a hot part of the. I think it's just symbolism. The hot point that was in the fire. I mean, it doesn't matter because she would have died anyways, whether it's hot or not. I guess it just makes it look more dramatic effect. So yeah, Jason stabs her with it, and it goes through her stomach. Now she dead. Now this looks very romantic. I don't know why, but Jason picks her up and he takes her somewhere, and we do not know where he takes her body. So yeah, Chili dead now. I think I find it romantic because it's like this scene. I think at one point Frankenstein carries a woman or something. That's what it kind of reminds me of. I don't know. It just looks romantic, murder way. So everybody that was on Chris's property is now dead. They dead. Now we have Chris and Rick have made their way back. They're getting to Chris's property, And then they notice that there's no noise or anything. And Chris is like, I can't believe there's no noise from the wild bunch because they turned into bed early. And Rick's like, I know you don't know what to expect from those crazy guys. Rick and Chris walk into the to Chris's house. Chris notices when she gets to the house, she gets to the kitchen, that somebody left the pot with a popcorn in it on. She turns it off, and the popcorn's all burned. She gets the pot, she pours it outside, and they're yelling like Debbie. Rick goes to the stairs, goes Debbie, Andy, and he tells Chris, "I'm gonna go check outside." Rick goes outside to go check and see if he can find anybody. Chris is still in the house. Um, but Rick doesn't return. So Chris goes outside and he starts yelling. Oh, you do see Rick? He had went to a shack or something to go look over there. But when he doesn't return, Chris is already still getting worried. She goes outside and it's windy outside. And it wasn't windy before; it just turned windy all of a sudden. I don't know. Makes you think, makes you wonder. But again, when Rick doesn't return, Chris goes outside and starts yelling, Rick, Rick. And at the side of the house, you see that Jason is behind Rick and has Rick hostage, I guess you could say. And he has him in the arm like this, like a chicken wing. And yes, I am a wrestling fan. That's why I know what it's called. He has him with one arm like a chicken wing tied up. And he has, Jason has his mouth, gross, that hand, over Rick's mouth on the side of the house. And he's holding the hand over Rick's mouth so he doesn't scream for help, whatever. And Rick's kicking, trying to get loose, but he can't. To no avail. And Chris goes back inside the house. Because Rick is not responding. And when Jason has him like that, a chicken wing in his hand as well, so he adjusts his hands, he puts it on Rick's head, he squeezes it, and Rick eyes pop out. Or one of them pops out. Boing. Now Rick dead in a funny way. Um, we gotta remember back to the old man. He had an eye. How was it? Did he have a time machine? Because he had the he had the eye before he got there. How did he have Rick's eye? Maybe he has a time machine. We'll talk about it later. So yeah, Rick dead. Chris runs back in the house after Jason squeezes Rick's head, and Rick's eye flies out. So Chris inside, Chris decides to go upstairs, see if she finds anybody, what's going on. Chris sees there's water is coming out, and she's knowing that somebody left the water on. Which, remember, Debbie did turn it off. And Chris is like, guys, you're tearing up the house. Chris goes into the restroom and she sees that there's running water from the bathtub. It's going over the house. Oh, actually, when she was downstairs, she felt like water hitting her head through a gap. So yeah, she's upstairs. Now she's investigating the restroom and the bathtub. They have somebody left the shower on, and then she sees. At first, I thought it was a bloody towel, but there's like a bloody something, and I think it's Debbie's bloody robe or bloody towel. I don't know, something made out of cloth, and Chris picks it up. She's really getting scared now, and now she's scared, and she runs downstairs, and she's like Rick, Rick, and she runs outside. It looks like she's gonna run to the barn. That's gonna be her strategy. But when she runs towards the barn, she's under a tree, and then somebody's body comes down, and it's Loco, the biker, the short biker. And then Chris gets scared. She runs back to the house. When she runs back to the house, there's like windows flapping from the living room, and she's closing some of them. And she's in the middle of the living room, or she's in the side of the living room. And I don't know. She's either in the side or she's in the living room. At first she's in the side, but I think she's a little bit in the middle now. And then somebody has thrown something to the window, something big, and it turns out it's Rick's body. And of course she's like, Rick, Rick, and she has Rick like this, and she's screaming Rick's name, Rick, Rick, and then she sees the window that came through that Jason is there. And she's scared, so she runs. She's starting to run upstairs. Jason gets to the window, to the broken window, and he walks through it, and walks in the living room, and and now and now he's gonna chase Chris, and Chris goes upstairs. She gets Chris is like up right upstairs, just got there, and Jason's behind her, ready to go up the stairs, and Chris gets a bookshelf, and she drops it, and all the books land on Jason's head, hitting Jason, hurting him, and Jason's still gonna go after her. If I were her, I would just waited there and got a object or something and start hitting him while he's climbing up the ladder where he'd be vulnerable. I'm just saying. Anyways, Jason's gonna chase after her, but Chris decides to run down the hallway and go into a closet to go hide. Um, so Chris gets into the to that closet, locks it, and Jason's after her. But Chris notices there's a she finds Debbie's dead body. Now maybe in the shower, it was a bloody towel because Debbie, it looks like she's on a robe. She's not naked; she has a robe, so it wasn't a bloody robe. It was a in the shower. I believe it was a bloody towel for some reason. So yeah, Chris finds Debbie's body, and it has a knife, still has a knife in the back of her. And Chris yells and being scared, like ah. So now we're gonna know that Jason's went up there and he heard her scream, so now he knows where she's at. Uh, Jason gets to the door of the closet because he knows Chris is there from her yelling, and he has a sharp object, maybe the machete, and he's chopping down at the door. He's going for the side of the lock from the door, and at the same time, Debbie's taking out the knife from the back. Chris is taking the knife out of the back of Debbie. She takes it out. Jason manages to chop a hole near the side of the doorknob. Jason puts his hand in there, and then Debbie stabs Jason's top of his hand, and Jason's hurting like oh because she stabbed him on the hand with a knife, and Chris decides to go on the offensive. She slams open the door. She starts swinging at Jason. Jason's going back while she's swinging. This goes on for a little bit until Chris manages to stab Jason's knee. She stabs Jason's knee, and so Jason goes down. After that, Chris runs away, and she's gonna try to go to her room. Jason manages to pull the knife out of his knee, and he throws it. He throws a knife at Chris. Chris is seen, and she runs, and the knife barely misses her, and it gets stuck on the wall from Jason throwing it, and she's like ah, but at least Jason missed or whatever. Chris goes. I think it's her room. She goes into the room, and she tries to open the window from her room, and remember we're upstairs, so she can't open it. She gets a chair or something. She smashes the window, and she's gonna try to escape through the window, but it's gonna be quite a fall. Um, she slowly gets on the ledge of the window with her hands dangling. Jason gets there and gets her by the arms and tries to pull her up. But by doing that, he ends up tearing her jacket, poor jacket. And Chris falls to the ground from the outside when she was hanging from the window seal, whatever. And she falls to the ground. It looks like she's okay. And she takes off the poor jacket. The poor jacket. Yeah, the poor jacket. She takes it off. And now Jason has to go backstairs to go chase after her. You got Chris. She doesn't run away. She decides to start walking to the side of the house. She looks through a window from the inside and she sees Jason is downstairs now. And now Jason is walking towards the front door from the inside. She sees this and there's logs outside and Chris gets a log. Jason walks out to the front door and Chris ambushes him by hitting him with a log that's outside. She hits him with a log in the back and then Jason goes down and he falls on some wooden railing that's on the porch and he breaks that and he goes down. And it's a pretty cool scene. I like that part. And Chris runs. Oh my gosh, I don't like this part. Chris runs to the van. She turns on the van. And she drives off. And then she sees Jason in the middle of the road. How did Jason get there? If she just knocked Jason down and she's driving in a fast van, a fast vehicle. I mean, a van's not fast, but it's still fast enough. How did he run all the way over there and get in front of the van? Is he a Jamaican track star? And on top of that, hurt from his back and with a wounded hand? Come on, man. Come on, folks. Anyway, she's driving the van. He's in the middle of the road. He jumps out of the way. Okay, whatever. And Chris drives the van, and she gets it to a bridge. And when she gets on top of the bridge is all ghetto. It's all just made out of wood. She runs out of gas on the bridge. And you guys need to let me know about this. She runs out of gas on the bridge, and then there's a switch. She flips the switch, and the van starts again. I mean, I had to stop because she sees there's no gas. Does this switch bring up magic gas or something, or is it auxiliary gas? I don't even want to talk about it because I could talk forever about it. Anyway, she flips the switch. The van turns on, and she could drive it, but it starts sinking into that ghetto bridge, wooden bridge. And while it's sinking, I mean, one side looks like it's really sinking on the right side and the passenger side. But Jason gets there anyways. He's a Jamaican track star. He can run fast, I guess. He gets there to where Chris is at. Chris has a window rolled down. Because Jason gets his hand to the driver's side. And he gets Chris by the arms, trying to get her to kill her. But Chris decides to roll up the windows. And so Jason's hands from here go up to here. And he's stuck like this. And at that point in time, Chris runs to the passenger side and she runs away. Now my thing is, what would have happened if she would have ran towards town? No, she's gonna run back to the genius is gonna run back to the house and the barn, her property. While Jason's like this, a really cool part. He has this hockey mask and whatever, so he does a headbutt. He headbutts the window. He breaks it, releasing himself, and now he's gonna chase after Chris again. Chris runs back to the property, and she's deciding to go into the barn this time. Chris makes it to the barn, and the doors are now closed, and it has these things like this where you could put something in there to hold it, to lock it. She decides to get a shovel, and she puts it there to lock it. And Chris is gonna go hide. Jason gets there and he manages to slip his hand through the doors and he lifts the shovel that had a lock and he pops the shovel up. And so now when he popped up the shovel, now he can get inside. He gets in and he immediately finds a big block and instead of the shovel, and he puts the block. He starts hitting with his hand, or not. I don't know, but he gets it. He gets the block into to the barn. He puts it there where he can lock it. So now it's locked. She's trying to prevent Chris from running out, from doubling back around and escaping. Um, he walks in, and then you see that Chris is hiding. She, I guess, she got upstairs, and she climbed on a beam, or it's a board that's on top of the ceiling. Jason gets in, and he goes to a stall. He has a machete, and he's hitting the stuff in the stall, thinking she's there or hitting anywhere. He comes back out. When he comes back out, Chris is now from the beam, like on top of it. Now she's hanging from it, and she waits for Jason to walk under, which he does, and then Chris falls on top of Jason, um, dropping him to the floor, and Chris is on the floor. Uh, Chris runs to the entrance, and then Jason goes after her. He has a machete. He swings in a downward motion at Chris, but Chris moves out of the way. And now Jason, when he's swinging down, he got his machete stuck in that board he had just locked the door with. He's trying to get it out, and Chris goes to the ladder. She runs upstairs and she barricades the opening with a bale of hay. That's what you call a bale of hay. Um, Jason manages to get the machete out, I think, and then he goes upstairs to look for Chris, and he's easily able to push the bale of hay out of the way, so the hay goes flying, and now he's in upstairs looking for Chris. So Jason's up there looking around, looking for Chris, and Chris is hiding behind a bale of hay as well. And she's waiting, buying her time, and then she's waiting for Jason. Jason has turned his back on Chris, and Chris has a shovel, and she knocks him in the back of the head because he has his back turned to her, and Jason is now knocked out. Now, Jason's knocked out, and he's close to the edge of the second floor where you can fall outside. Chris gets that rope that Fox was swinging off earlier, and the one and the rope that same rope that Rick was picking up hay earlier, or pulling with a pulley, pulling the rope. So she gets that rope and puts a noose to hang around Jason's neck. She has a rope noose around Jason's neck. Jason's still on the floor, knocked out with his stomach to the ground. Stomach first. And when she puts that rope noose around Jason's neck, she's trying to push him off the edge, and you see Jason's moving. He's regaining consciousness. He's trying not to go off, but Chris is successful, and she drops him to the outside, and he hangs. She hangs Jason with that rope noose. So she's like, I hanged him or killed him. Probably mentality, of course. Chris goes back downstairs, and she's still locked with that board in there. It's heavy. She finds this metal wheel or something. It's a metal thing. And she starts hitting the board up on to the left and then to the right. She manages to get it out. She opens the doors, and there's Jason hung. And it doesn't take too long. She says she sees he's hung, dead. She's thinking. But She goes back, and then Jason once again regains consciousness. He lifts himself on the rope and picks up his mask, and Chris sees his face. And she's like, "You!" So Chris is now realizing that when she got attacked in the oak tree, she saw that man's hideous face, and that man was Jason because he has the same face. So she's like, "You!" So that was him the whole time. And Jason puts his mask on. And how does he pick himself up with a rope? I mean, he's a huge man. 6'7", 6'8". How did he pick himself up? He must be really strong. That's a big body. That's a You have to be really strong to lift yourself up. So and not only that, he lifts himself up where he can escape. He takes the noose off. I mean, that's really hard. And he's hanged. So he gets down. Now he's gonna lose again. He gets the machete. Chris is going back like this, and she's cornered near a wall. And Jason's gonna kill Chris with a machete. But heroically, dun, 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 and magically, Ali appears from the stall. He has regained consciousness. Jason did not kill him. But Ali goes to attack Jason. Jason just turns around, and Ali's hands like this, and Jason chops off Ali's hand like from right here, and Ali's like seeing his chopped off where his forearm used to be, like ah. Jason drops him. Ali to the floor, starts chopping away at him. And Chris sees the axe that Chili had dropped earlier, which he was there with a Chuck trying to scare Shelly. So, yeah, Chris picks up the axe, and once Jason's done chopping away, killing Ali more, striking him with with his machete. I guess Jason turns around to go look to now kill Chris, but when he turns around, real quick, Chris gets the axe, and we could say Chili's axe because she dropped it, but Chris gets that axe and hits Jason in the head, and the axe is like stuck in his head because she struck him with the axe, and you're like, oh, he dead, but no. Then scary music comes out, and Jason's hands go like this, and he's still going after Chris. And no, but Jason finally goes down, and he's died. So now Jason dead. Of course, Chris is traumatized from this ordeal. She gets out of the she gets out of the barn, and then she goes to the lake, and she takes out the canoe. And she gets in the canoe, and the canoe's just in the lake, going with the current, whatever. It's in the middle of the lake. Now we have that it's daytime, and she just woke up from the canoe, like, started like, ah. Now she's conscious. She's up in the morning in the daytime. She runs into a tree branch, or the boat hits the tree branch. I'm not. She hits a tree. The tree's in the water. Her canoe hits it, and then she starts like ah. Then she pushes away. After that, we have some geese that go flying past her and they land in the water, and whack 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 whack. She's like ah. She gets scared again, and then she looks towards her house, and she sees Jason's face like on a window without the mask. He's just the ugly face he has, messed up face he has, disfigured face. And he's like, this is the window, like he wants to go kill her. And so Chris sees that, and she starts paddling the boat. Jason, you see, he leaves the window, so you know he's gonna go downstairs and go after her, because that's on the top floor. And she's still paddling, and she's looking back to see where he's at. Jason has now reached downstairs, and he's broken the door from the house. And he starts running towards Chris. Chris still paddling away, but when she looks back, the door is still it's intact. It's not broken, and she sees that Jason has disappeared, and she's like, "Where is he? Where is he?" And then after that, this part kind of it surprises me because wow, a lady from the lake has jumped at Chris and takes her down. This lady looks all disfigured, all like her body's been there for a while and all messed up and everything. She's wearing a dress or something, I don't know what. And she takes Chris's body down into the water. The next scene we have that the sheriffs are finally on the property, and there's a couple of sheriffs talking out the door, talking about the incident and saying that those poor kids have been through a lot. The sheriff takes Chris out, and then one of the sheriffs outside says, "Oh, I'll take her." They take her, and she's like, kind of, she's still traumatized. They put her in the sheriff's car in the back, and oddly enough, the sheriff's car, you know how they have like a bars or whatever to protect the officers from the criminals, has no bars, has no window, nothing. And you see Chris going, he's going crazy in the back, and then there's a sheriff in the passenger seat, turns around and restrains Chris or puts his hand and says, "It's gonna be okay, it's okay," and they drive off. After that, we haven't ended yet, folks. After that, we still have Jason's body still in the barn. The body is not attended to, and he's dead from the axe blow. I believe the axe is still in his face and his mask, and like I say, Jason's body's unguarded. So you're thinking, wow, shouldn't the body be guarded? But I think the officers know that, oh, he's dead. He has an accident. There's no way he's gonna get up. He's human, so I guess that's explainable. Um, but that's just something I have. And then the lady of the lake, who is she? I don't understand. I guess I have to read about it. But they take Chris out and she's traumatized, making sounds like, and they drive off, and that's the end. Wow, I finished. Um, I had like controversial points in this film. Before I forget, I love this film a lot. I saw it so many times, and I didn't get tired of it. You know, and it's a treat. And then once I watch other movies, I'm gonna enjoy it even more. Um, there you, Troy. I ain't gonna get tired of saying it's for you, Troy, my boy, and my brother Troy. I mean, he requested this, and I did it for him. Did a review on this for him. I'm trying to do it the best I can. Um, the controversial parts, in my opinion, was when she was in the Vera was in the lake. Did Shelly take off her shoe? But I think I looked again, and no, he didn't, because I would have been like, when did she put her shoe back on? Because she had her shoe after that. Um, I did. I like the only thing I can say about Debbie, the one that was having sex in the hammock with Andy, is that she had really good liners. It's just that I question a lot of stuff about her that had nothing to do with. Oh yeah, someone did Jason that. Why was she a horn dog? Why they say she was pregnant but she looked so skinny? Um. Oh yeah, the famous knife going through her sternum, and Chili saying that she heard a scream. I really don't think. Like, once again, I really don't think Debbie would scream from a um from a death like that with a knife going through your sternum. I don't think, and it might hit your throat, your vocal cords too. So how can you scream? And it's so much pain. How can you scream? And then the other thing I say, it's an instant death. That's another thing. Not a scream. Ali, how did he appear at the end? I guess the club. Jason clubbed him several times and didn't kill him. So I guess that guy's Superman. um, I know there's more, but that's all I'm gonna go through. Um, Once again, I love the film. This is from my brother Troy. He requested a review, and I went with part three because the first time you see Jason getting a hockey mask, where did he get it from? He got it from Shelly, which is weird because I mean it's historic that he gets the hockey mask and he got it from Shelly, but I would think they would show the the scene where he kills Shelly and where he exactly got the hockey mask. So I don't know if it's cool or not. But the point is, he does get the hockey mask, and that's his infamous hockey mask that he wears in all his films, except for the exception from part one, where he doesn't come out at all. Part two, he has a sack of potatoes instead of anything for a mask. And yeah, the other point, they don't show Shelly getting killed. But I already brought that up. Um, Guess I'll end it this way. Bro, you join my boy. This is for you, boy. Awesome. Um, my name's Alberto, aka Destroyer48. Remember my saying, um, the world will never be a perfect place, but we can all make it better. Uh, Till next time, I will see you in my next movie review. Right now, with this mask on, I'm gonna go look outside and go scare some dogs. You take care of yourself. Bye.